Stop whatever you're doing and go watch Metallic Rouge Episode 1. This is a new original anime from Studio Bones. And if you've seen the anime Carol and Tuesday, if you've seen Blade Runner, that's kind of the best way to describe this. It's Carol and Tuesday meets Blade Runner, but damn with its own unique twist. This felt like a movie. This felt like an absolute quality movie production. And oh my lord, watching essentially a world where androids and humans coexist. There are these like Immortal 9 apparently that I guess don't go hand in hand with the government. And our main character, Rouge, works with this other girl, I think her name is Naomi, based on the character listing. Apparently they're just killing these ones and trying to bring about peace. It's hard to say, but from just subtle world building that you just look at one thing and you're like, wait a second, I want to focus on this, and then there's focusing on another. There's so much to the substance with this world. Like, I mean, visually alone, it is captivating, but when you start learning these little things about how, these androids need like nectar, right? They need to inject themselves with this nectar, apparently once a day, based on the comments that were made. And we see a couple of humans steal from this one like butler sort of guy, and ultimately his girl, or maybe a coworker, it's hard to say exactly, but they feel as living and breathing as a normal human. Basically, because of that, she's trying to give him her shot, and he's saying, no, you need it. And by the end of that day, because he couldn't get it back, we see him shut down, and he gets tossed to the side of the curb and thrown away. It's pretty brutal. It's very simple. It's very effective storytelling, but it sets the stage of what type of world this is, and the difference of, like, the class status for these different characters, right? Like, it's such a good first episode, and almost immediately I was like, oh, this is the type of stuff like when you see a Vivy from Studio Wit, or you see a Carol and Tuesday from Studio Bones, right? These are the types of shows that only come out once every so often, those anime originals with that high quality storytelling production, visual production, that leave you wanting more. This very well could be anime of the season for me if we're not including carryovers, because you know me, I love Free Run. That's probably going to still be my number one. But we're talking about brand new stuff. This right here could be it for me. I have a full live reaction episode 1 of Metallic Rouge over on my Patreon, so if you would like to see my full uncut thoughts, they're over there if you're interested. I am just giddy. I am so happy to see that. I had a hunch this would be one of the best first episodes or one of the best anime of this season, and I'm very happy that, for me anyway, I was absolutely correct. Obviously, opinions will differ, but I mean, almost immediately, you just get a different vibe with this world. You just feel like, okay, they're cooking over here. And in a lot of ways, I would have swore this was a Watanabe production. I mean, this feels very reminiscent to how he would handle a lot of his shows. But no, like, this just feels like it randomly came out of nowhere. But holy shit, has this been missing from my life this entire time. It has insane action. It has beautiful music. It has fascinating characters and one hell of an intriguing world. What's not to love about this? The music, like, let's talk about the music briefly. So they pretty much start the episode off right away in this like club. Like, there's pole dancing and this woman singing. The song is beautiful. I'm like, okay, this definitely has that Carol and Tuesday vibe. And then at one point during the, at the end of the episode when the big fight scene's going, they don't overpower with background music. They let the sound effects and the characters like huffing and puffing or talking kind of like lead the stage. But that song, it's not your traditional bombastic, here's your get hype song. It's kind of like a chant, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling intoxicated by what they're playing here. Just so good. And the fact that the character we end up like killing, you don't really look at as being a bad person in the traditional sense, right? Like, according to the synopsis and like what I'm seeing, I don't think our characters are bad per se, but like, the character they end up killing, like, I just kind of felt like, are we sure we need to do that? Like, what's going on here? But where's episode 2? This is the type of episode that if you discovered it once it's over, you're probably binging at least the first core that night. Like, I don't know how many episodes this is going to be. Currently, the episode count is unknown right now. I hope it's a 2-core because I just see a lot of potential with this one. But if not, I mean, I'm just happy this exists, because when you get anime original stories, like, I feel like, well, I always like anime originals, there's a very big difference between getting a masterpiece that's an anime original and then your run-of-the-mill, here's a good anime original, but you're gonna forget about it in a season's time. I still think about Vivy from Studio Wit. I still think about Carol and Tuesday from Studio Bones. Those are shows that stick with me, that just came out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a passion project. And just, the production level's insane. Like, I swear at points we're watching like a Super Sentai fight with how these characters are transforming and doing these crazy things, but it's absolutely incredible visual production. But the coolest part to me was just looking and listening to these characters talk and explore a world. At one point, we're at like this bar area or this restaurant area where the two characters are kind of talking. So at first, she's interacting with a bird who's obviously a robotic bird that's being controlled. And very similar to something like Cyberpunk 2077, when the memory kind of gets severed or the connection gets severed, it does hurt the character. And obviously, they have to meet up in person afterwards. Clearly has a big appetite. I think she's going to be my favorite. And the other one seemingly only eats chocolate. So I'm interested to see if she'll ever like explore outside of her comfort zone. But I love the idea that they're just sitting in this environment, this red glow, this almost cyberpunk. Because think about like even like Cyberpunk 2077 as a game, right? Like when you first start that game, in terms of one of the paths, you start off in like a bar area and it's this very cyberpunky feel. Like that's kind of like, it's cool when you start off a show with such a different visual like look to it. And that's immediately what it did. Like, I'm fascinated by this world. I'm fascinated by Joker, this dude who, I swear to God, could be Vosh from Trigun's, like, alter ego or something. He pops up with a deck of cards, pretty much says, damn, that cold must have killed him after he probably killed that man as he's trying to rob him blind. Just insanity. Like, there's so much wild personalities, the look of the characters, the feel of the world, and most importantly, just not knowing where this end mission will actually go when it's all said and done. This feels like it could be anime of the season, at least for me. Like, I'm always on the lookout for something that just feels like it doesn't compare to anything else you've seen recently. And while I love a lot of shows, I think stuff like Frieren is an absolute masterpiece, could be in a top 10 potentially for me. I always am excited for when the next new anime original, big show, great production value, you swear you're watching an anime movie, and the story just feels different pops up. And they don't happen too often, but when they do, they definitely stick out more often than not. And this is one that I feel like no one should sleep on. I feel like it has Carol and Tuesday character interaction vibes. Like, the music of Carol and Tuesday is very different experience than that of what we got here. But I just feel like the way the characters talk and interact, it has a similar vibe to that. The Blade Runner comparison, I think, is a good one. That's actually kind of what sold me on checking it out sooner than later, was that I heard some people say, like, hey, yeah, Carol and Tuesday meets Blade Runner, kind of what this felt like. And I'm like, say no more. I'm here. I'm good for this one. And it's awesome. It really is. The music, I think, is actually going to be one of the biggest surprises of the season. I have a very strong suspicion that this one might have one of the best OSTs of the year. I'm going to go that far. I vibe with this one right now. I'm digging it. I'm liking the characters. I like the idea of the story. Let's see where it goes from here. Let me know what you're feeling, though, of episode 1 down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more videos to the channel. And like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, you'll also get a video shout out. So today we have Rocket No 9, Pav, Backseat, Nine-Tailed Brush, Nanospace, and Jadhaus. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Have a good one.